Hello and welcome to How to Build a Data-Centric Cyber Defense. Today's webinar is sponsored by Rubrik and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Scott Becker. I'm from Actual Tech Media and I'm excited to be your moderator for this special event. Now, before we get to today's short presentation, we do have a few housekeeping items that will help you get the most out of this session. First off, we want this to be an informative event for you, so we encourage any questions in the questions box in your webinar control panel. While there won't be a dedicated Q&A session at the end of this short presentation, the Rubrik team will see any questions that you have and they'll be able to follow up with you. So remember, this presentation is a quick hit, so type your questions in as they occur to you. A Q&A panel is also the place to let us know about any technical issues that you might be experiencing. Browser refresh will fix most audio, video, and slide advancement issues, but if that doesn't work for you, just let us know there in the Q&A and we'll provide further technical assistance. Now, in the handout section of your webinar control panel, you'll find that we're offering several resources. I'd especially like to call your attention to a link to a white paper about the Rubrik Security Cloud and a link to a State of Data Security report from Rubrik Zero Labs. It's a really cool report. I highly recommend it. And there's an ebook about becoming unstoppable against ransomware. Also, in your handout section, you can find a link to the Gorilla Guide Book Club, which is Actual Tech Media's great printed resources on technology topics, as well as a link to the ATM Events Center, which has our calendar of upcoming events like this one. So I encourage you to access those resources now and share them with your friends and colleagues. Now, I'm also excited to say at the end of this webinar event, we'll be awarding a $250 Amazon gift card to one lucky registrant. Of course, you must be in attendance during the live event to qualify for the prize. Official terms and conditions of today's prize drawing can be found in the handout section. Just scroll to the bottom and you'll find the terms and conditions link there. And with that, let's get to today's fantastic content. It's my pleasure to introduce you to our presenter today, Atul Ashok, who's Senior Product Marketing Manager at Rubrik. Atul, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Thank you for joining me. My name is Atul. I'm a product marketer here at Rubrik. And today I will be walking you through some of the challenges that organizations are facing when it comes to securing the data and how you can build a data-centric cyber defense to counter that. Now, before we get into the meat of the content, I would like to provide some context, a baseline. So we all know that ransomware is a pervasive problem, and more so since the last couple of years, since the pandemic began and most of the folks have been working remotely, the data generation and the data consumption has been rising at a meteoric pace, all in remote systems. And we found that even the ransomware attacks has kind of kept up with that pace. Around 66% of the organizations, or 2/3 of the organizations, were impacted by ransomware in the last 1 year alone. Now, whether or not there's a demand for a payment, attackers are after your data, the bloodline of your organization. Now, they're threatening your ability to operate. And when your data is down or your access to your data is down, your business also is down. Now, the average cost of recovery, including the ransom itself and all the other costs like legal or the downtime or the PR and everything included, can run into millions. For example, in 2022, the number was around 1.4 million. But in 2023 till today, it's been found that the average cost of recovery is around 1.8 million. And not just that, the recovery process itself can take weeks or months. And on average, folks have reported it takes them around a month. And that's to say nothing of the reputational harm or the lost business that a cyber attack can cause in that period when you're trying to recover your data. So ransomware problem isn't going away anytime soon, and it should be everyone's priority. Now, the good news is that the organizations are taking care of data security in some form or the other. For example, over here, you can see a slide generated from our own research wing called Rubrik Zero Labs. I highly recommend you check it out. We have a recent report that came out. Now, we can see that 56% of the respondents said that they employ at least one form of zero trust technology or principle within their organization. And 54% of them are testing their backup and recovery mechanisms on a regular cadence, and 52% created or refined the data orchestration mechanism. Now, traditionally, cybersecurity has focused on infrastructure security around the prevention, detection, and investigation aspect of it. However, infrastructure security is primarily focused on protecting systems, users, networks, and applications, not securing data, which is every organization's most valuable asset. Now, despite the significant investments in infrastructure security, the risk of a breach can only be reduced, not completely eliminated. Attackers are still penetrating defenses, and just as important as reducing the likelihood of a successful attack is reducing the impact of that attack. How quickly can business resume as usual and be restored if an attack were to happen? Now, securing data is the only way to truly secure your business, especially at a time when ransomware is such a threat that remains financially rewarding for attackers. We need to have a mindset of assume breach. It's never a question of if, but a when, and must ensure that the data is available, safe, and recoverable in the event of an incident. Because data is the target of attackers, we need security at the point of data, hence data security, to keep data safe and recover it faster. Now, achieving the promise of zero trust security clearly requires more than just infrastructure security. This is where data security comes into the picture, the second half of the pie. Data security complements traditional infrastructure security to fully secure data assets, and as such, secure the business and defend it against cyber attacks. Well, now, when paired together, infrastructure security and data security reduce cyber risk by reducing both the likelihood and the impact of cyber attacks. Now, we here at Rubrik believe that data security is made up of these three pillars, and they should help you answer those core questions. Is the data safe regardless of where it is stored? Do I have visibility into the health of that data? And can I monitor risks? Can I recover the data with confidence and as quickly as possible if needed? Some of these areas can prove to be challenging for organizations. Let's take a look at why it continues to be a challenge. Now, let's start with data resilience. Now, these are some of the common questions that would be at top of mind for anyone dealing with backup and recovery mechanisms, right? So with data resilience itself, they're always wondering, can my backups be discovered by bad actors? Can the retention rules be modified or tampered and cause irrecoverable damage? Are there any fail-safes in case something happens and the data is deleted? And this could be a pure accident due to an internal miscommunication. Can the admin accounts be compromised, or can the backups be modified itself? Now, that's where the Rubrik's data resiliency comes to the picture. There are a number of security controls in place to keep backup data protected from attacks. And to list a few, we have the logic of air gap. The Rubrik file system does not expose backup data via open network protocols. With the encryption, the data is always encrypted both at rest as well as in transit. We ensure that with the immutable file system, backups cannot be modified or encrypted, and data is stored in a proprietary format and verified with data integrity checks. We have an intelligent data lock that prevents accidental or malicious mass deletion of data. The zero trust retention lock prevents anyone from removing or resetting retention policies through malicious expiration, cluster resets, and retention SLA modifications. Access control at every level prevents account compromise through granular RBAC and natively enforced MFA and time-based OTP for all user logins. Now, moving on to data observability, we can see that these are a couple of questions that are top of mind. Have there been any unusual activity detected within the data that's been backed up? And were any of the files, or what files or applications in particular, were impacted if attacked? Was there any sensitive data impacted and how much of it was there? And when did the malware or the source of the attack first enter a backup system? Now, these questions can be easily addressed with Rubrik's data observability engine. If you're taking regular backup snapshots, you're in a good position to recruit your data in that fight against ransomware. This is because you're capturing the longitudinal time series history of data if you're protecting your data with Rubrik. Additionally, Rubrik manages metadata, including its content, users, and access privileges. By scanning hundreds of snapshots, Rubrik's data observability engine generates signals that are fed into a highly trained machine learning model, building a historical baseline against which new data can be compared to find anomalous activities. Now, diving a little bit more into the data observability engine itself, it allows you to continuously monitor your data for ransomware, sensitive data exposure, and indicators of compromise. Using the anomaly detection, you can determine the blast radius of a ransomware attack and also identify abnormal deletions, modifications, or encryptions of data that are coming into your backup. You can reduce the sensitive data exposure and manage exfiltration risk with sensitive data monitoring and management, which helps you discover sensitive data and where it lives and how much of it is there. You'd be surprised how much sensitive data is stored in different corners of your data store systems. Prevent malware reinfection with threat monitoring and threat hunting services that can find indicators of compromise. And finally, data remediations. What are your teams thinking when it comes to data recovery? Well, first question, if you were attacked by a malware, can you recover your data without reintroducing that malware into your production systems? Can you automate your recovery process so when it comes to the crunch time, everything goes seamlessly on like clockwork? And finally, can you pick and choose? Can you surgically recover what you need for complete recovery to normal operations? And that's where Rubrik data remediation comes in. Now, Rubrik's data remediation capabilities allow you to surgically and rapidly recover your apps, files, or objects while avoiding malware reinfection. You can recover safely at any scale and granularity. You can quarantine your infected data and also limit access so that select few folks who are part of the recovery team, only they will have access to the data. You can restore your impacted apps, files, or objects. You can also orchestrate recovery of applications so it just happens automatically, like designed as per a blueprint. Now, all of these come together in our one single platform called Rubrik Security Cloud. It's a single pane of glass that helps you keep your data secure, keep an eye on it for any anomalous activity, as well as recover it with ease, rapidly, with confidence. Now, with Rubrik Security Cloud, you can defend data against cyber threats, continuously monitor data for risks, and recover business operations within hours. Because at the end of the day, this is the million-dollar question. If attackers get past your defenses and carry out an attack, can you afford to wait? How much data loss can you tolerate? Now, how Rubrik helps? Well, take a look at the code from one of our customers who was able to recover all of the data without paying the ransom and zero data loss. Well, that's the end of the presentation. Hope you have learned something useful. And for any further questions, please do reach out to us. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Atul, for putting together a really informative presentation there. Really appreciate your time today. And once again, everybody, last chance to grab those Rubrik resources in the handout section of your console. There was that white paper about the Rubrik Security Cloud. There's a link to that great state of security report from Rubrik Zero Labs. And there's an ebook about becoming unstoppable against ransomware. becoming unstoppable against ransomware sounds like a great goal to me. But before we wrap up, we have one more piece of business. It's the Amazon gift card prize drawing. And the winner of that $250 Amazon gift card today is Pravina Krishnan from California. So congratulations to Pravina Krishnan. We'll be in touch to get you your card. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Rubrik for making this event possible. And thanks as always for attending and for your great questions. That concludes today's event. Have a fantastic rest of your day.